Please like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about Barcelona. In this video, we have 3 very important updates about our beloved club. Let's start with the first one, dear Barcelona supporters. A piece of news has shaken the Blaugrana world, and honestly, it gives me immense hope for the future of our team. We're talking about Ronald Araujo, one of those names that seemed untouchable in defense, an immovable rock in our setup. However, the club has made a crucial decision. A concrete amount has been set for his potential departure this summer, 60 million euros. And what is even more revealing, and in my opinion wise, is that this valuation is not just a decision by the management, but it also has the explicit support of Hansi Flick, our new coach, who apparently does not consider him an indispensable piece in his flamboyant sports project. As a Barcelona supporter, I understand that for many, this news might seem like sacrilege. How can we let go of a central defender who has been a pillar, who has shown courage, honor, and unwavering commitment in the toughest times? I fully understand that. His passion and dedication in every match are undeniable and have deeply touched the supporters. But at this point in our history, with the direction Hansi Flick wants to take and the pressing need to improve our finances, this decision is an act of courage and, in my opinion, strategic intelligence. We are not in a period of sentimentalism that would prevent us from making the right decisions for the greater good of the club. The possible sale of Araujo at this price fits perfectly into the Blaugrana plan to balance finances and reduce the wage bill. Let's be honest, our economic situation remains delicate, and every euro counts. Every euro we earn or save is vital. We are not looking to get rid of a player at any cost. The position is clear and pragmatic. If a significant offer comes in, it will be analyzed without hesitation. It's not about putting a player up for sale out of desperation, but about being proactive and seizing a market opportunity that, given the circumstances, can be fundamental to give us the financial breathing room we so desperately need for other operations. The defender has been followed for some time by European giants, and the fact that clubs like Bayern Munich, with which Flick has strong ties and where his playing style is well known, as well as Manchester United and Chelsea, continue to monitor him, shows that there is a market ready to pay this amount. This gives us negotiating power that we cannot ignore. It is true that our defender has an astronomical release clause, one of those that seem unattainable and aimed at protecting him from any outside interest. However, the management has always handled more down-to-earth figures for a possible sale, understanding the market reality and the actual value a player can have in an operation. Now, with the approval and vision of our coach, these 60 million euros represent the threshold that could open the doors to his exit. And this, dear supporters, is absolutely key. The coach, the person who will build the new team, the figure who will map out the tactical roadmap, does not consider him fundamental. This radically changes the scenario. Hansi Flick arrives with a very defined idea of play, a system that seeks maximum fluidity in playing out from the back, anticipation in recovery, and speed in decision-making that perhaps does not align 100% with Araujo's characteristics. I know that internally, the debate is on. There are directors who advocate keeping a player who, it is undeniable, has shown leadership, unshakable commitment to the jersey, and an admirable capacity for sacrifice. His combativeness and ability to engage in duels are undeniable and have been vital in many matches. However, others, and I include myself in this group, see in his transfer a strategic path to facilitate priority arrivals that perfectly fit Flick's philosophy and the real needs of the team. It's not about undervaluing him or forgetting what he has brought, but about being pragmatic and thinking about the long-term collective good. For example, much has been said about the need to bring in a winger who can provide width and depth, who can beat defenders one-on-one, like the much-desired Nico Williams, whose release clause is high. A sale of this magnitude could unlock this operation and others that would strengthen the team in areas where Flick sees more deficiencies, such as a defensive pivot with greater distribution ability or a fullback who contributes more in attack. The versatility of the other defenders in the squad and the need to have players who can adapt to different roles in Flick's system also influence this. If we can get a defender who better fits this profile of playing out from the back and more combinative play, and also bring in a substantial sum, the operation makes sense beyond pure sentimentalism. The summer will be long, and interest in the defender continues to grow among top clubs. The fact that teams as powerful as Bayern Munich, Manchester United, and Chelsea are willing to invest this amount in him reaffirms his market value and the appropriateness of the amount set by our club. Our team awaits moves from the Premier League or the Bundesliga that could trigger a strategic sale amid the squad's reconfiguration. It's a golden opportunity to restructure the squad, provide Flick with the tools he needs, and at the same time improve our finances. The timing is crucial, and this moment, with a change of coach and the need for revenue, seems ideal for an operation of this magnitude. So, dear supporters, I ask you, the immense and passionate Blaugrana fanbase, what do you think of the club's decision to put a price on Ronald Araujo's departure and Hansi Flick's position of not considering him indispensable? Do you think €60 million is a fair amount and that his sale would be beneficial for the squad's reconfiguration, or on the contrary, does his possible departure hurt you, and would you prefer he stays at any cost? I read you with extreme attention, because the voice of the supporters is the one that truly matters at these key moments. The second piece of news concerns an important decision in our club. Attention, Barcelona supporters, a piece of news that, although it may generate some noise in the environment, has set off all the alarm bells for me. We're talking about the offer of Calhanoglu to our dear Barcelona by intermediaries. Apparently, the 31-year-old Turkish midfielder is on the verge of leaving Inter Milan, and his agents, in a classic market maneuver, are looking to place him in a prestigious club in Spain. We're talking about a transfer close to €40 million. But let's be clear and direct. From the deepest perspective of Barcelona and analyzing the situation of our team, this operation, whatever nuances we want to give it, makes no sense. The age, the economic cost, and especially the tactical adaptation make the supposed arrival of Calhanoglu not only unnecessary but directly counterproductive for the moment of evolution that the team is going through. Let's be as clear as water. The current Barcelona, immersed in a crucial phase of reconstruction after years of sporting and financial imbalances, cannot afford the luxury of making miscalculations or backtracking on its game model. Betting on a player who has already passed the 30-year mark, who has no experience in the demanding Spanish Liga, and whose playing style does not fully adapt to the automatisms of possession, high pressing, and rapid ball circulation that Hansi Flick wants to imprint on the team, would be an error as evident as it is costly. And I'm not just talking about the initial economic outlay that paying €40 million for his transfer would represent, an astronomical sum for a footballer of his age and recent trajectory. I'm also talking about the medium-term consequences, mortgaging precious minutes of growth that should be destined for players with more projection, more freshness, and above all, more aligned with the non-negotiable philosophy of our club. The name Calhanoglu, for his experience, undeniable individual technique, and game vision in certain contexts, may seduce those who are carried away by the shine of past statistics or isolated actions. But if we scratch just a little beyond this superficial surface, we find a profile that is far from what Barcelona needs at this moment. His football is that of another Barcelona, one that we no longer want to be, a Barcelona that, fortunately, learns from its mistakes and looks to the future with a clear vision and a defined goal. The arrival of Flick on the bench is not to return to old habits but to establish the basis of a durable and successful project, based on the playing identity that made us great. From the technical secretariat, it is true that the tactical consistency of the Turk is valued in certain aspects. His ability to launch long balls with millimetric precision, his vision for movements in short spaces, and his reliability in set pieces, especially in direct shots on goal. However, even recognizing these strengths, it becomes evident that his playing style, more composed in the build-up, with a marked tendency to retreat when he doesn't have the ball and more comfortable as an orchestrator in matches with spaces to maneuver, does not adapt at all to a team that must assume protagonism every weekend. Our team needs to subdue the rival from the first minute, circulating the ball with speed, constantly activating play between the lines, and smothering the opponent with asphyxiating pressure after the loss. Hansi Flick has been as clear as water on this. He will prioritize dynamic profiles, players who perfectly understand the positional model and have the physical and mental capacity to sustain a high rhythm of pressure for 90 minutes. Calhanoglu, without being a bad player and with undeniable quality, simply does not fit this mold. His profile is far from the intensity, verticality, and aggressiveness in recovery that the German coach demands from his midfielders. It's a matter of footballing DNA, and his is not what we need to return to the elite. Possession for possession's sake is of no use to us. We need possession with purpose, that progresses, that generates opportunities, and for that, every footballer in the middle of the field must be a perfect cog, capable of reading movements and anticipating actions with mental speed that complements their physical ability. His incorporation could slow down the flow of the ball and the speed of execution, key aspects in Flick's model. On the other hand, we cannot ignore that this offer comes more from the player's entourage and his representation agency than from an initiative of the club itself. It's a classic market maneuver, placing a name on the table of the big European clubs to accelerate an exit, inflate interest in other destinations, or simply seek a last big contract. In this case, It's more likely that Alanoglu's entourage knows perfectly well that the Turk's cycle in the European elite, or at least in a club with the highest aspirations, is reaching its inflection point. They seek to conclude a last lucrative operation in a club that still retains the prestige of attracting the best but, fortunately, has learned from its past mistakes instead of repeating signings that recall eras when bets were placed on veteran players without criteria, on names with more renown than sporting adaptation. Today, our club needs to look forward with determination. We must bet on profiles that can grow with Hansi Flick's project, who arrive with an insatiable hunger for glory, who understand the immense responsibility that comes with wearing our badge, and who do not represent just a temporary solution or an attractive name for the press. Recent history has taught us that patches don't work, that shortcuts are illusory, and that long-term planning is the only path to sustainable success. Moreover, the economic cost, as I have already mentioned, is not minor in a situation where every euro counts, where the financial health of the club is an absolute priority. We are not talking about a cost-free loan or a market opportunity that arises out of nowhere and cannot be missed. We are talking about a costly operation with considerable sporting risk and no real guarantees of success. And what about the age? At 31, Alanoglu is entering the descending phase of his career, a phase where explosiveness diminishes, rhythms become harder to maintain, and injuries can be more frequent. Even if, with a lot of luck, he offered 2 good seasons, we would then return to the same problem of having to look for a replacement in the same position, once again with urgency and without long-term planning. Barcelona needs to build a solid foundation with pieces that last, that grow with the team, that identify with our way of playing, and that allow stability in the squad. We cannot continue to fall into the error of short-term patches. The third piece of news is a huge thunderclap at Barcelona. Dear Barcelona supporters, get ready. The Spotify Camp Nou is breathing in the air of change and renewed ambition, and the arrival of Hansi Flick on our bench, which already has us all dreaming wide awake, is accompanied by a first big name in the transfer market that, at least for me, has filled me with overflowing joy. Hugo Ekitike, the young French striker who just turned 23, has become the express request of our new strategist, and this, dear supporters, is no coincidence. The news broke like a thunderclap, but a good one, the kind that announces a storm of goals and successes. Ekitike, currently with Eintracht Frankfurt, is a well-known figure to Flick. Our coach has followed him closely throughout his successful stint in the Bundesliga, where Ekitike has shown himself to be one of the great promises of the German league. Flick knows him perfectly, knows what he is capable of, knows his potential, and that is a guarantee which, for a Barcelona supporter, is worth its weight in gold. We are not talking about a whim or a name that came out of nowhere, but an informed and thoughtful bet by a coach who has shown he has a privileged vision for football and a proven ability to bring out the best in his players. And as if that were not enough to spark enthusiasm, the name Hugo Ekitike not only pleases Hansi Flick, but also fascinates Joan Laporta. When our president and our coach converge on an objective, things get serious, dear supporters. Laporta has shown a prodigious flair for detecting talents who mark an era, and if he has also set his eyes on Ekitike, it's because he sees something special in him, something that fits perfectly with the greatness and ambition of our badge. This harmony between the two main figures in the sports department is an unparalleled signal that the club is heading in the right direction, with a clear goal and a joint strategy to achieve it. The arrival of Hugo Ekitike would undoubtedly be a huge boost for our team. Think about what this young man could bring to our attack. At 23, Ekitike represents youth and the future, but already with considerable experience in a league as demanding as the Bundesliga. He is not a promise to be polished from scratch, but a talent who is already bearing fruit and has a simply spectacular growth margin. He is the type of player who, by his age and qualities, can mark an era in European football. He is a striker with qualities that fit perfectly with the style Hansi Flick is looking for in the team: mobility, the ability to play with his back to goal, a scorer's instinct, and a skill in getting free and moving to the sides that make him unpredictable. He is not a static number 9, but a modern striker capable of linking up, generating play, and, above all, scoring goals. His presence in the box is intimidating, his shot is powerful, and his ability to finish is that of an elite striker. Additionally, his height of 1.90 meters gives him an imposing physical presence which, combined with his agility and technique, makes him a constant threat to opposing defenses, both in aerial and ground play. His ability to shield the ball and resist the onslaught of rival defenders makes him a crucial pivot in the construction of plays, laying off balls and opening spaces for the arrival of teammates. His time in the Bundesliga has toughened him. He has faced rock-solid defenses, high game rhythms, and has shown his worth. This experience in a high-level league, although not the Spanish league, is an undeniable plus. He would bring us freshness, a hunger for titles, and unbounded ambition, the same ambition that Hansi Flick wants to inject into every corner of our locker room. A player with his audacity and predator instinct is precisely what we need to stay at the top and aspire to win every competition. He is a footballer who, despite his youth, shows maturity in his game that bodes well for immediate and sustained performance over time. Of course, a transfer of this magnitude does not come cheap. To finalize the operation, our team would have to shell out €50 million to Eintracht Frankfurt. And I know, some will get fired up and say that it's a lot of money, especially given our economic circumstances. But allow me to refute this argument. In the current market, where prices are inflated to unsuspected limits, 50 million for a 23-year-old striker with the talent and potential of Ekitike is, in my opinion, a very sensible investment. We are not talking about an exorbitant expense, but a strategic investment that, in the medium and long term, will be successfully amortized. We are not talking about a whim or a player who has already reached his ceiling. We are investing in the present and, above all, in the future. These 50 million are not an expense, but the purchase of an asset that can multiply in value in the coming years. And what is more important is that it will give us immediate and lasting sporting returns. How many young strikers with this potential and projection do you find on the market for a similar or lower price? Very few. And those who do exist are the object of desire of the big European clubs. And the guarantee that Flick, who also knows him, wants him for his project, should dispel any doubt about the suitability of the investment. It is a vote of confidence from the coach in his abilities and a clear signal that he sees him as a fundamental piece for his scheme. Think about the long-term benefits. Ekitike would arrive to establish himself in our attack, to compete at the highest level, and to become an offensive reference in the coming years. His age allows us to think of a decade of elite football at camp, scoring decisive goals and helping us win more titles. It is a strategic bet that aligns perfectly with our club's philosophy of recruiting young talents with the ability to become global stars. This type of move is what builds dynasties and ensures competitiveness in the elite for a long time. Flick's vision for our team is clear: an offensive, dynamic football, with high intensity both in recovery and in build-up, and offensive fluidity that overflows any rival. Ekitike fits like a glove into this proposal. His mobility would allow him to be a key piece in the pressure after the loss. His intelligence in getting free would generate spaces for his teammates, and his finishing ability would be the golden touch on the constructed plays. So, dear supporters, with my heart in my hand and enthusiasm at its peak, I ask you, the unparalleled Culé fanbase, what do you think of the possible arrival of Hugo Ekitike to the club, the first big request of Hansi Flick? Do you think he is the striker we need to strengthen our attack and for the long-term project, or do you have doubts about this transfer? I want to hear your voices.